Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about the best character developments, in my opinion, in the entire Degrassi franchise, not counting the 80s, but you know what I mean. Anyway, before we start this video, please like the video. Subscribe if you love Degrassi, if you love my content. I've been getting a lot of praise and love, so thank you for that. Plus, I also have a Degrassi Dives playlist. I will be linking that towards the end of the video because y'all need to watch this one first and then get into the rest. The first character on the list is Spinner. Spinner is introduced in season 1. His actual name is Gavin Mason, and he got the nickname because he spins out of control when he doesn't take his Ritalin. He is our first character with ADHD, and yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting introduction for a character, and I don't think they use that enough when it comes to getting to know Spinner as a character, because during this time when the show aired, I don't think, from my memory, that ADHD was something that was often talked about. So I felt like they could have used a little bit, they could have talked more about Spinner having ADHD and the struggles that he faces if he doesn't take his medication, or just even just like daily challenges that he has. So early on, you can tell that Spinner has a crush on Terry, but after everything that goes down between Paige and Terry, after Paige gets her drunk and everything like that, Spinner ends up with Paige, and Paige ends up dumping him later on in the season, and immediately he's hurt by her, believing that Paige willingly slept with Dean and just didn't want to be with him. But when he is hit with the truth, he immediately comes to defend Paige when it comes to the whole situation with Dean and what she's been going through. Some time passes, and Marco actually comes out to Spinner after Spinner literally runs after him out of the dot and wants an explanation for why Marco walked out on a date with Hazel. And at first, Spinner acts like it didn't happen, icing Marco out, even harming him in gym when they're playing volleyball to like get his anger out. I don't know what that was for. I think it's just because he just didn't understand Marco for some odd reason. And from then on, he actually ends up writing on the wall in the boys' bathroom that Marco is gay. Jimmy's like, okay, what are you gonna write next time, that I'm black? Seriously, that's what you're all upset about? I don't understand the big deal, essentially. In between this situation, Terry ends up going into a coma because of Rick, and obviously Spinner becomes enraged. He had a crush on Terry before, but also he just considers Terry as a friend, so he becomes really protective of Terry, and he almost punches Rick when Rick is leaving school right before his mom comes out to take him away in the car. Later in season 3, he's still uncomfortable with Marco, insinuates that Marco likes him. Just the fact that Marco is gay, he immediately thinks that Marco likes him. And Marco tells him time and time again, I'm not into you. Like, you're not even that cute. But Spinner's just like, oh, maybe you just have bad taste, kind of jokes it off. And I guess they make up from that, which is mind-blowing to me, not even like an apology to him. So that was just like the first instance we get of Spinner and his immediate homophobic reaction to Marco, but also trying to defend Terry after her abusive relationship with Rick. In season 4, Spinner starts to emotionally cheat on Paige with Manny, and he starts to treat her like crap because Paige crashed his car when she was going through all of her situations with Dean, mainly the case, and he kind of holds it against her. So he's pretty much feeling like the alpha in the relationship by degrading her, treating her like crap when she's working, getting her fired essentially while he's over here fighting with Craig over Manny. Wild, to be quite honest. And Paige is like, you know what? I'm done. Leave me alone. We're over. We'll set up some payment plan, and you're out of my life for good. Which in my opinion, that is the most mature response from a teenager I have ever heard in my life. Because Paige said, "Look, I'll still pay you back, but no, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. You'll get your money, and you're gonna leave me the hell alone." And I really commend her for that. Later on, Spinner starts to hang out with Jay and starts to bully Rick, and it gets to the point where Rick is obviously rained down with yellow paint and feathers, and as he goes to the bathroom, Jay and Spinner go in and they plant the idea to Rick that the reason why he even got attacked in the first place was because of Jimmy. That Jimmy was their inside man, that Jimmy allowed this, even though Jimmy was actually becoming friends with Rick and being nice to him, which leads to our first major traumatic Degrassi incident where Rick comes and pews up the school, pews Jimmy in the back, and pretty much leads into a whole string of events later on in the show. Immediately, Spinner starts to feel guilty. He even tells Jay that they should go tell Principal Ratchet. And at first, Jay's like, no, you can't do that. I'm implicated in this too. You're going to drag everybody down. Because we all know Jay as a character is literally like the devil of Degrassi, okay? He has characters doing things that they would never do left and right, front and center, everything. Finally tells Principal Ratchet what happened and how he and Jay are part of it. They get suspended, and when he returns, he spends pretty much him and Jimmy's last year of Degrassi making it up to him, trying to be a good friend and just really be supportive of him. Later on, we get like some instances where they're trying to do like a t-shirt shop together. I'm not going to go too much in detail about that. We're going to skip past that. But I would say Spinner tries his best to be a good friend to Jimmy, and Jimmy eventually forgives him. And I wouldn't say lets it go, but it's kind of like water under the bridge, even though it did alter Jimmy's life completely. Which, in my opinion, I wouldn't forgive Spinner for that, but I'm not Jimmy, so whatever. Later on, I don't remember what season it is, and I don't want to do these segments too long for each character, but Spinner, he gets prostate cancer. He's going through that, so that's a major struggle that he's going through as a character in his own life. And eventually, everything is a remission. He's doing good. He ends up dating Jane, and he's working at the Dot. And when he's working at the Dot, he is literally the best version of Spinner I have ever seen. He's actually like, I would say, the words of wisdom for a lot of Degrassi students as they come in. Even when Holly J comes in looking for a job and he gives her a chance, at first, she's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go to the concert with Blue or whatever. But eventually she does suck it up and realize that she needs to be responsible and she needs to actually hold her own. So she goes back, apologizes, and asks for the job. And Spinner gives it to her. But before giving it to her, like, they really talk about Holly J. But not even just Holly J, but just what it's like to make such terrible decisions. And Spinner really reflects on that by recounting the things that he has done and how he is just looking to become a better person. And you can see that progress along the way for Spinner, that he has actually have grown from what he has done. And he's just a really good character towards the end. Like, he is very just reserved, chill. He's dating Jane. He does make a dumb decision to go up to Jane's reward ceremony, makes a fool of himself. But as a character overall, he's not a bad character towards the end. Like, he actually has grown and developed and matured along the way. And obviously, we get the terrible decision for Spinner and Emma to get together. Don't know who wrote that, but I blame you, okay? I'm dragging you straight to hell with me for that. Like, I don't know why you did that. But overall, Spinner as a character has really grown, and you can really see that in how he handles situations throughout the rest of Degrassi. Even when Emma burns down the Dot. Like, obviously, he's annoyed, he's pissed, but he's not, like, full-on yelling at her and doing all that kind of stuff. Like, he takes into account, like, he's like, maybe I shouldn't have put you in charge. Like, that's my mistake. And hopefully, like, hopefully he has his job back and everything like that. So he's matured. He's become more mature, responsible, and I guess accepting, too, of other people's flaws and mistakes. He's like, yeah, we all make mistakes. Anyway, let's keep it moving and pushing type of thing. So that's why he's on my list. Next up is Holly J. Holly J is introduced season 8, and she is our resident mean girl. She is just a bitch to everyone. She's even a bitch to her own best friend. she's not a good person. She is very defensive, and she's always has a quick comment to say about somebody else. So she's just not a good character at the beginning. And our first instance pretty much is when Anya finally confronts her about how Holly J treats her, and Holly J tells her, because you let me, which honestly, both of them are at fault, because Anya, girl, you do not need to be friends with this hoe. You had no reason to stay friends with her if she was treating you like that. But remembering that these are teenagers, we were all dumb as teenagers. We've accepted behaviors as teens because we didn't know any better. So I'm giving Anya the benefit of the doubt, but Holly J was not a good person. When Allie becomes her main target, well, not even really her main target, but when Allie starts to make any comments towards Holly J of just being like, maybe if you were nicer or whatever, or like, maybe you could get a boyfriend, and Holly J obviously is very defensive, and she targets Allie. And so we lead into the whole story of Allie starting the I Hate Holly J group online. And it gets out of control, where people are very, very violent. Even Derek says that he brought the rope to, Holly J with. And Holly J's at home, completely distraught, bullied, everything like that. It's the first time she actually gets a taste of what she's been dishing out to other people. And even then, after that, she still hasn't redeemed herself. She just gotten a little bit of like a knockdown. Later on, when she is trying to get the Power Squad to go to Florida for a cheer thingy. I forgot what is it, like a cheer performance or a cheer try. I don't remember. I don't know the word, okay? But she struggles with getting the money for that because her dad is broke. And then also Blue wants to go to the concert with her to go see Pink Floyd, and she doesn't have the money for that either. So she lashes out again, and now it's towards Spinner. So pretty much tying in back to how Spinner became like the voice of reason and the words of wisdom guy for a lot of Degrassi characters. He really started off as the voice of reason for Holly J. Really just telling her like, well, if you can get through that, you can get through anything. Like, I've been through some stuff and things have been tough for me. So if you can get through this hurdle of being broke, then you're fine. So she ends up taking the job at the Dot, even though she has a lot of pride, but she's like, I need more money. I need money more than anything. And she actually she's still mean. Like, we don't really see it all too much, but she still has her quips and everything like that. But she also works at the Dot. So at some points, she is humbled because obviously all of the Degrassi characters end up at the Dot. That's like their third place, and that's where they hang out. So they see Holly J working, and immediately they're like, oh, so you take coffee now. Look at you, bitch, type of thing. So Holly J is humbled at the same time. So she still has her ego, but she is humbled at the same time, at least when she is working. So she's not as aggressive and rude as she has been before. Later on, she actually starts a babysitting service with Jane, where other girls are the babysitters, and they just split the funds and, appoint people to different houses. So they make the schedule essentially for the babysitting service. And this is just a project. But, after the project, they actually carry on for a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly. But it was mainly just a project. Holly J finds out that Jane is cheating on Spinner with Declan. And Holly J's like, well, if you don't, I'm going to tell Spinner or whatever. But she never really tells Spinner. They let that slide. And Jane ends it with Declan. Eventually, Holly J and Declan get together, which is a whole separate video. That's pretty much in my Declan video. I will link that in the description box below of why I think Declan is a creep. He's nothing but a creep, and Holly J has no type of standards whatsoever. But that's a different video. So check that out in the description box below. And check out my other videos in the Degrassi Dives playlist. Anyway, from that situation, Holly J is now with Declan. She's become more humbled. She's more toned down and relaxed when it comes to her behavior towards other people. And she has more of a focus on her academics of going to Yale with Declan and going into journalism, I believe it was. That's what her career move was. I believe that's what it seems like. So, because later on she actually does become a mentee for someone in the journalism field, her and Shantae, and they're both like really just trying to vie for this journalist's attention. Holly J overworks herself, and she thinks she's just tired, but in actuality, she has kidney failure. So this girl is now going through a whole lot more than she has done at the beginning. She has a kidney failure. She needs a kidney transplant. She's really sick. She's doing dialysis. And come to find out, she's adopted. Messy, I know, right? And she meets up with her biological mother, and she asks her if she could give her kidney. In this scene, I get it on both sides. Holly J feels that it's irresponsible of, what's her name, Diana? I'm going with Diana. That it was irresponsible of Diana to have children if she wasn't able to care for them later on, which valid. And then she proceeded to have more kids too. And she's a single mother with 2 kids who look like they're about 7 and 8. So clearly this girl cannot make good choices when it comes to being a parent or not. She had no business being a parent, because now she's a single parent again, and she works full time, but she can't take time off. That's very costly. So I get her needing to be compensated for that. But girl, you had no business having all these damn kids if you can't provide for them in the way that you're supposed to. I'm just saying, that's irresponsible of her as an adult. And then you have these 2 younger kids that you got to tag along because your babysitter is sick, and you're a single mother all over again. That is not Holly J's problem. You should have kept your legs closed, should have figured this out a long time ago. If you couldn't care for one child, okay, maybe you could change and things progress later on, but you a single mother again to 2 kids. I don't know what her situation is. Maybe the husband died. I don't know. But I'm just saying, this is not a good track record for you. So on both ends, I get it. So eventually, Fiona ends up buying Dana's, I think it's Dana. Fiona buys Dana's prom dress and gives her the money. So it's not as if, Holly J bought the kidney, because that is a legal no-no. Apparently. So that's their way of getting around that, so Holly J can get her kidney transplant and Dana can get her money. That way she doesn't have to worry about financial issues moving forward after her recovery. Along the way, Holly J starts dating Sav, it was very weird, but I would say I prefer Holly J with Sav because he just let her be without pressuring her, and Declan was always pressuring her. Even before Declan, she had never talked about wanting to go to Yale or wanting to do anything specific. So I feel as if a lot of Holly J's goals really did revolve around Declan. Even her mom points it out when Declan buys Holly J an expensive necklace, I believe it was. It was a necklace or a bracelet? A necklace. And her mom is just seems like he thinks he can, buy your feelings or whatever. And Holly J's oh no, he didn't cheat on me. Okay, but still, the fact that you even thought he was cheating on you should ring several bells. He didn't stop you from thinking that. It doesn't take more than 2 seconds to say, I'm not cheating on you. I don't want Tinsley. It's not hard to say. But no, Declan was over here being aloof, doing fencing with Tinsley, and then not answering any fucking questions until he was on a plane and over there with her, trying to act like Prince Charming when he's really just a freaking creep. And ew, he grosses me out. I just can't with Declan. But eventually Holly J starts to think that she could let Declan support her, because Declan's oh, why didn't I pay for the movers? Because her family is moving after her dad became broke, so they're really tight on money. They're going to move into an apartment type of thing. Everything's changing really, really fast for Holly J. And he's I'll pay for movers. I'll pay for this. I'll pay for that. And then he makes a comment of oh, do I just spend more money to get you to spend time with me or whatever? Even Shantae's chill, preppy. Calm down. That Holly J is not your property. And at first, Holly J is like noticing it, but she's kind of, I guess, in denial about it. But up until she gets in the limo with him and he thinks that he can just whisk her away to New York. It's just like, no, I have work. Like, I have responsibilities. And he's all like, oh, well, what else I have to pay for to do? What else do I have to pay for you to do what I want? See, gross man. You should have left Declan back there in New York. He should have never came back for any type of reason. I do not care. Leave Declan where he was, in the scum, in the scums of the earth, okay? Not to say that New York is scum of the earth, but he is scum, okay? Leave him on the upper west east side, wherever he's from. I do not care. Leave Declan alone. And so she finally snaps out of her thoughts, and that whole princessy, he's gonna save me moment. She's like, you know what? You can keep it moving, bucko. I need to hold my own and be responsible and take care of myself. So you can go back to New York and fuck you, pretty much. Later on, he comes back. I believe he does grape her because Holly J did say no. And later on, she graduates. She ends up going to Yale. And I hope for the love of God, in another universe, Holly J does not get back with Declan, because scum of the earth. That's just my opinion on Declan. I'm just saying, y'all gotta check out that video, because that man is just disgusting, and Holly J deserves so much better, because she's finally developed, grown, and realized how she acts towards how she treats people is very important, and how she treats herself too, because when we meet her early on, she's very desperate for a boyfriend. She really wants to be in a relationship. She tries to sleep with Blue at the school when he's just trying to paint her. Like, oh my God. Holly J's, like, insecurity was at an all-time high at the very beginning. And I believe she does become more confident along the way, especially with Sav, because Sav has never done anything to make Holly J think that she's not the absolute best. Even when Jenna kisses Sav on accident, Sav tells her, he's like, she kissed me. I don't know what she thought that was. She tripping. And even when Holly J and Jenna confront each other, well, pretty much Holly J confronts Jenna, Holly J's like, oh, he would never go for you, sweetie. Like, that ego, and not even ego, but that confidence that Sav would never go for Jenna is on point, because Jenna was trifling as hell, and she was pregnant too, so it wasn't just the hormones. We knew that she had always been like that, because she'd done that to Claire before, so she was down to do it again. And Holly just said, babe, try somebody else's man, not mine, okay? You real stupid right now. You look real foolish. So Holly J, to me, overall, has grown. She has improved. I just hope she sticks with it and doesn't let Declan get to her with being in Yale. That's the one thing I wish we did show. I wish they did show college years for that class specifically, because I would have loved to have known what she would do in that situation with Declan trying to woo her all the time. Like, I wish I would have seen her tell him, you did grape me. You should leave me alone. She's like, maybe like her and Sav wouldn't have lasted forever, obviously, because they were going to different schools, but at least show Holly J's confidence at an all-time high, where she just knocks Declan down a few pegs after he thinks that he can just buy whatever he wants and try to buy a person and just to get their attention. I would have loved to have seen that, because Holly J was that girl. She started off as a mean girl. She started off as a bully, but she, deep down, she is that person who will check somebody, and not in a mean way how she did before, but she will put somebody in their place. And she did fall apart sometimes with the different things that she was going through, and how Blue was pretty much just being like, oh, Holly J would make everybody happy. And Holly J's like, that's not me. I'm not a person who's gonna people please and do what other people want me to do. She's like, that's not me. That's what I'm not gonna do. And when she becomes when she's actually president and not tied to Blue anymore, she does what she says she's going to do, and she literally makes sure that everybody is held accountable for. I'm not even really cut that out. And after cutting off Blue, she is literally like the boss babe, one of the best presidents at the time, in my opinion, at Degrassi. Like, she has dances, everything planned out. No one has anything to say about her when she's president, to be quite honest. Her and Sav work really well together. Well, not president, she was vice president. But still, you know what I mean. But her and Sav worked really well. They really held down the school. No one had any freaking complaints. No one was like putting in really weird requests. And she was very respectful with other people later on. So Holly J as a character overall, she has grown. I feel like she has one of the best character developments because of everything she had went through. And also because Declan is a character that she probably would have been like if she didn't get knocked down a couple pegs. Literally. I feel like that relationship is kind of like a mirror. If she never got knocked down by Allie or just life in general with her parents, she would have been an entitled brat just like him. And maybe once they got into the limo and he said all the things that he said, she finally was like, you know what? We're too different. And she didn't say that. But in my opinion, that's a thought that could have came up for her. It was just like, I don't do that. Or like, you can't just buy me. You can't throw money at people like that. Because in a way, Holly J was going down that path at the very beginning. Like, she was trying to buy Anya's attention or just holding things over her as if she had power over Anya, over everybody in the power squad. That's essentially who she was at the beginning. But in the end, she had grown, she had matured, and she learned that that's not how you talk to people. That's not how you treat people. You don't do that to people. You talk to them respectfully, and they respect you back. And if a bitch tried to take your man, you tell her, you're cute. Try again. All right, next up is Maya Matlin. This character, I've made an extensive video on Maya, plus Miles and Zig and Cam, and how the ghost of Cam has really haunted Maya and really has impacted her as a character, her mental state, her emotional state, her dating life. Cam impacted Maya throughout her entire time on the show. Watch the video. I absolutely love making that video because just seeing all the connections was mind-boggling to me. I'm going to need y'all to watch it. Okay, I'll put that in the description box below too. But Maya is introduced season 12 or season 11, something like that. It's towards the end of Degrassi as we know it through the actual TV show, throughout the actual channel when it was on air. Then it moved on to Netflix. So before then, she's introduced then about like a season 11, 12, towards the end. And she is Katie's sister who wanted to go to a performing arts school. But since Katie chose the high school, which is really weird, why does the sister get to choose what high school to go to? But anyway, I digress. Moving on. So now Maya's there, but she wanted to go to a performing arts school because she is a how do I pronounce it? Like a cello player, celloist. But Maya, she is kind of insecure because her best friend Tori is more of a pageant girl. She's more put together, more refined, quote unquote. And just a cooler version of her. At least that's what Maya sees it as. So she takes a liking to Zig when Tori does a pageant and Maya actually does a pageant with her. She doesn't feel so good about herself, but then over time, throughout the pageant, she starts to feel better about herself. Zig helps her out with that. While doing the pageant, Maya is really struggling with her confidence, and mainly because Cam doesn't seem to be interested in her the way she's interested in him. He's not giving her extra kisses. He's not calling her pretty. All the things that Zig does for Tori. And Maya's really envious about their relationship. And she actually starts to get interested in Zig because he gives that kind of affection and affirmation that Cam does not. So she ends up kissing Zig, obviously. Katie sees it. And Katie's like, girl, you do not want a guy like that who will kiss somebody else who is not his girlfriend. Leave that alone. And Maya, being very regretful, she ends up going to Cam and getting back together with him. And I think she tells him that she made a mistake, kissed Zig at least, or at least she made a mistake. And Cam can put two and two together. He can tell because Zig is being very weird around everybody. and mainly always like staring at Maya. So Cam is putting two and two together that essentially they've kissed or anything like that. And so now Cam is on a spiral because Zig is pushing up on his woman and Cam do not like that. So Cam decks his ass during the hockey game. Like, just, it's I feel like if Cam was still alive, he would have been diagnosed with severe depression, like, or major depressive disorder. Like, I feel like it really would have been, he would have been diagnosed with that, but ultimately, obviously, he does off himself in the greenhouse, and so Maya, she had always struggled with him not being able to communicate with her, not knowing what's going on with him, his mood swings and everything like that. So then when she finds out that Cam did off himself, she doesn't feel anything. Like, she's completely numb. But at first she's angry with him because she believes that he should have fought harder to get better, and said that she would have helped him, but he gave up. Which, granted, everyone grieves, handles grief differently, so we can't be mad at Maya at that, because later on throughout the show too, we do see Maya spiral. So we gotta give Maya some grace when it comes to this whole situation with Cam, because that's not an easy pill to swallow. As someone who had a friend who did off himself, and I was in 8th grade, he was a freshman in high school, and I didn't feel anger, but I did feel sadness and anger for him because he was bullied too as well. So it was like, it's very hard to be the friend who has lost somebody like that. So I get from Maya's perspective what she was going through, because it was such a hard situation to talk to Cam. Them even getting together was so hard for them to get together. And then you had Zig over here trying to push up on Maya while she is with Cam, and Cam knows that Zig is into her. Like, it was just too much going on. It was never like just a simple, solid high school relationship. It was always something going on. So in the end, I feel like Maya has a right to feel some type of numbness, because it was so chaotic and it has such an abrupt ending. And it's not like he broke up with her, he offed himself. That's extremely jarring. She doesn't know how to react to that. So I feel like she needs a lot more grace when it comes to how she lost Cam. After that, she does spiral a little bit. She kisses some dude named Henry, whatever his name is. But she flirts with Zig a little bit, and Zig tells her that he'll wait for her. And she's like, oh, anything is possible, blah, 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 blah. Bada boom, bada bing. She goes to Paris, and her and Tristan are now best friends. But Tristan is still a bitch. I hate him. I hate him so much. And in the trip, there's a guy, Miles, that she's clearly into, but Tristan's also into, and it gets messy. I'm not going to go into much detail about that because that's also in the Cam video. I think it's in the Tristan video mostly, but yeah. They come back, and Maya and Miles are really into each other, very flirty. Zig obviously has been waiting for Maya, and so now he's hurt because Maya is clearly interested in somebody else. And then we lead into a whole bunch of trauma. Zig won't let her go. And then Maya and Miles are, like, together. There's weird stuff going on. Zoe's being a big bitch. Like, there's so much going on with that. But as things start to spiral in Miles' personal life, with his dad abusing him, and Miles just going off the rails, smoking weed, not going to class, Maya's anxiety is at an all-time high. He blocks her on all of his social media. So when she snaps, she has a right to snap, because literally the last time that someone just went AWOL on her, they offed themselves. So her crash out was valid, completely valid. I'm just going to say that. And then from that, Miles is still not talking to her. Tristan's over here being like, back off my man, bitch. When you know what she's been through, you're not a good person and you're not a good friend to Maya, because Maya is clearly traumatized. Like, this is a lot that's going on for Maya to react this way, and it's warranted. Flash forward, moving forward. Her and Zoe are sort of kind of friends or whatever. Zoe fucks around again and betrays Maya by hooking up with Zig in the woods. In next class, Maya is she's just over it. To me, I feel like she's just over everything. She's friends with Grace. She's friends with Jonah. She's writing music. Zig feels insecure that that he thinks that Maya is interested in Jonah, but she's not interested in Jonah. She just wants to write music. She's all about her music. And Zig is so insecure about that because he doesn't have his own interest. So he always wants to tag along to Maya and is really attached to her, really attached at the hip to her. Boom, bang, problem. He hooks up with Zoe because he's a dumbass too. And ultimately, obviously, they break up. And some time had passed. We get the bus accident that flipped over. And that's when we really see Maya's depression really come out with the accident. She's watching the videos. She's not getting out of bed. Her mood swings are all over the place. And she's just, it's like she's gone. She even tells her mom that she doesn't think that Maya is in there. She's like, I don't think that she's in there. I tried really hard. She's actively trying in the way that she can while also being extremely depressed. So this is how it's coming out. She becomes obsessed with death. She starts taking pictures with Saad, and you can really see the side of Maya that has constantly been going on this entire time. Everything has snowballed to this moment, and ultimately her depression takes over, and she just feels just like not even like worthless, but she doesn't feel like she deserves to live. And she ends up cutting Grace off. They block each other. There's so much that's going on in Maya that things have just snapped. She finally talks about how Cam offed himself. And she even tells Saad that she was right there, like waiting for Cam to come, but he never showed up. And this is talking about the front steps of Degrassi. So she does recount some of the instances of what led up to the moment she found out that Cam had died. But it really does spiral at the very, very end when the song plays Last Exit, which all the music is written by Sheba, who wrote the songs for Degrassi, for Maya's character. So when Last Exit is playing, in that episode, Maya makes the decision to end her life. And so that entire episode, she's trying her best to be the best daughter, to be the best friend that she can, tries to give Grace her ring, and that's Maya's very important ring that she's been wearing this entire fucking time. So that's when Grace is like, something's not wrong, something's not right here, something's wrong. And then she goes to the roof. We get a cutscene, and then we see Zig and Esme up there, and they find Maya ODing because she did take some pills on the bus, and she thought that's how she was going to die, but that didn't work out, so she ended up going to the roof, and she ended up ODing. And obviously, we lead to the scene where she's in the hospital. Everybody's there, crying and everything like that. The only person not crying is pretty much, well, there's a few people like down. Not everybody was crying, but the one person who pissed me off the most was Tristan. Like, I know you can't speak, but the first thing you say is, can we get pizza? You are a spiteful bitch. You've never liked Maya. I can't stand him for that. Like, that is such a pure hatred for somebody. Like, you never cared about her. And then later on, when Maya comes out of the hospital and returns to Degrassi, she is actually talking to Tristan, and at least talking to him about the situation and her struggles to make music again. And he just looks so apathetic. I'm like, girl, this boy is not your friend, and he never had been. Okay? Zig is over here feeling extremely sad for Maya, feeling really bad for the situation and everything that she had been through. So he ends up putting Esme off by going with Maya to the dance, going to the prom with Maya. And they kind of rekindle some things in the very end of next class. They do end up traveling together. They're in the car. That's the scene that they show. And pretty much what it alludes to is maybe they got back together, but at the very least, Zig is with her. So I put Maya on this list because we literally got to see what it's like to go through a mental health issue from the very beginning to the very end when it came to grief. So everything was tied together very, very well. And I loved how it carried out to next class. That's the only reason I watched next class, because I wanted to know how it would end with Maya. Other than that, next class is trash. But Maya is definitely on this list because she's a great character that had a really good character development. Last person on my list is Lola. Lola is introduced seasons 13 or 14 roughly, because they keep introducing characters towards the end of a season and it always pisses me off. But her character is carried over into Degrassi next class, and she is the bubbly person. She has different colored hair. She's friends with Frankie and Shay. And she's just kind of like an eccentric kind of character. Very much so. She knows everything about everybody, and everybody kind of knows her essentially because she is like the social media person. So she knows all the trends. She constantly posts. She's that type of girl. And with being in her friend group, let's just be honest, their friend group is shit, to be quite honest, in my opinion. Frankie, Shay, and Lola are terrible as a trio. We get different instances with Shay at the beginning when she has some body insecurities. Lola is pretty much saying like, oh, boobs are butt is the new boob, thank God. Kind of like a dig to Shay's body. Initially, Lola has a crush on Tiny, and Shay likes Tiny. Shay and Tiny get together. Lola tells Shay that she's into Tiny when Shay finds out that she can't even date from her parents. A whole separate issue. So Lola gets the approval from Shay to go on a date with Tiny. And that ends well. I'm saying that very sarcastically because when Lola dates Tiny, all of Tiny's friends who are seniors, so Maya, Grace, Zig, all of them, they all think immediately that Lola is immature. And she really takes that as a dig to herself. And so she really doesn't really understand it. But especially when she gets a keychain and it's actually a vibrator. But she thinks it's just like, oh, it's just like a massager. But, you know. So they really like make fun of her for that. So Tiny and Lola end up breaking up. Tiny goes back to Shay. I forgot to add them in my videos of fuckboys because that was weird. And Tiny dumps Lola to get with Shay because he's still interested in Shay despite what has happened before. And yeah, obviously Lola's hurt. But anyway, so now Lola is very much like on the outskirts. She's feeling very thrown off to the side by Tiny. She makes like slight digs at Shay by posting pictures of her and Tiny online while Shay and Tiny are together. And in a way, I get it. She's hurt. But at the same time, Shay didn't do that to you the first time you asked to go out with him, even though you knew that Shay liked him too. Just saying, like, Lola, that was not the smartest thing to do, quite honestly. But, you know, she was hurt. And she's, like, I think they're, like, 14, so whatever. Moving on. We're not going to go down the road. Shay is still with Tiny. Lola feels very alone. Miles is going through his own situation with Tristan being in a coma. And they really just both need somebody to be there for them because Shay and Frankie are very much not there for Lola. Lola's very, very, very alone. She's very lonely. So she ends up becoming friends with Miles, which leads to them hooking up, which is a mistake, obviously, on both of their parts. As much as I don't like Tristan, Miles has been a complete asshole to him the entire time, so that does not help. Lola, just completely lonely. You should have never slept with him, girl. But we move on to when Tristan finally wakes up and he comes out of his coma and he actually sees Miles' play for the first time and he instantly puts it together that Lola was the girl that he was probably talking to and has developed a connection to. Because in the play, when they're just performing, you can tell, like, there's that raw emotion, like, they actually connected. And so Tristan is just like, do you love her? And Miles is like, no. But you can tell Lola was getting into him. Like, I wouldn't say she was in love with him, but she was really liking Miles and how he made her feel. He made her feel safe. He was a comfort for her. And she didn't really have that in anyone else, not even her own friends. So that was just a major factor of Lola for me, and really just seeing how lonely she really was as a character while her friends were spiraling in their own different ways, in their own relationships. Lola was just a lonely character who didn't really know how to build solid connections with anyone and didn't really have much of a dating experience. So she was just very insecure, naive, I believe, and just very sad. So after that, she ends up becoming friends with Saad when Saad is targeted by a whole bunch of students because this is around the time of Belgium was bombed, and Saad was saying that, why are you guys focusing on this one place? Why don't you guys care about other places? That's essentially what he was trying to say in his speech, but nobody was hearing him. And the way he was saying it was kind of confusing to those who weren't really taking it the right way. I guess it was just a big miscommunication, because he was saying, like, why would you support one place and be all for, like, oh, we need to save them, we need to protect them? He's like, but my hometown where I was from was bombed and no one did this kind of shit for us. So why are you guys picking and choosing when you guys want to be superheroes and be supportive and do all this kind of stuff? That's essentially where Assad was coming from. And I get that, because as a society, we pick and choose when we want to actually be not even heroic, but when we pick and choose places that we actually want to represent and places that we want to support. It's very pick and choosy. Like, and I get it, maybe we don't get a lot of news information from a lot of other places, maybe smaller communities, but still, he had a point, because that's what people do. An advocate for humanity, you have to be mindful of other places that are also experiencing this. And Lola is a really good friend to Yao as they're on their journey to figuring out who they are. At the beginning, they really emphasized to Lola and Frankie that girls like them ruin it for all other girls because they actually like to wear makeup, and they thought that Frankie and Lola did it because they wanted boys to look at them, and Frankie and Lola were like, no, I do it for myself. I don't do it for these men. Okay, I don't do it for them at all. So Lola ends up helping Yao find their identity and feel comfortable in clothes and really just embrace who they truly are. And Lola's a really good person to do that with. She is extremely helpful. She was really helpful with finding clothes for Yao and helping Yao find their confidence to stand up to Hunter. And Hunter's over here like, I don't know if I can do it. And Yao's like, I'm not going back. I don't care if he can accept me or not. I'm not going back. So Lola really just was a catalyst for helping someone figure out their identity, figure out who they are. And that's a really impactful person in your life to have a character like Lola. So I feel like she is a really good friend, but in her friend group, they really didn't have the skills and the opportunity to really flourish as friends. They were good as like first time friends, but as like an actual true healthy friendship, Lola is better off being friends with other people who will get her and those that she can help impact, like Yao with Saad, those type of friendships. Because Lola is a real like empath at heart. She's very personable and she can really just truly connect with people in a way that she really couldn't do with Frankie and Shay. That is why I have her on my list. If you like this video, be sure to like this video, comment below what do you think, which character has the best development from any of the seasons. And until next time, stay magical. Bye.